All right, Dr. Fauntroy, are we going to have jobs in the foreseeable future? Folks like you and me and Dr. Dibinga, we make our living by writing. And a big part of this writer's strike is not just about the streaming services and how they've changed the game in terms of the number of episodes that writers work on, or even the money that they get paid, but it's the lack of commitment by the networks to affirm to the writers that they are not going to use these chatbots, this artificial intelligence, to rewrite scripts and basically write them out of a job.
Areva, I'm concerned that we'll all be working at Starbucks at some point.
I don't know, Starbucks won't need us. The robots will be making all the coffee.
So listen, this is also an issue in academia. Yep. We're worried about students submitting papers that they just type in a few keywords and push out a paper and give it to us, Yep. So this AI chatbot, Chat GPT, whatever the platform is, that all use artificial intelligence are really problematic and worrisome. Often the technology gets out in front of the regulation of that technology. And so I'm concerned for anybody who's involved in writing, that intellectual property is threatened. We know that with the AI recently on these music videos where you have one person's voice singing somebody else's song and it sounds perfect almost, And so yes, this is a deep, deep, deep concern. And as somebody who's a supporter of union activism, I'm hoping that they can get this fixed and quickly, because as there are a lot of people that are going to be hurt by this strike, unfortunately. But it has to happen, apparently.
Yeah, no doubt about it. People, may be thinking this doesn't apply to them if they don't work in the entertainment industry or they're not writers, but you'd be sorely mistaken to think that, because this could impact all of us. I'm thinking about parking attendants. Dr. Dibinga, remember them? Yeah. There used to be people that were in a kiosk and you would pay it. Now most parking lots, you just go and stick your ticket in. It's automated. You never see a live human being. I'm going to date myself a little. When I started my practicing as a lawyer, there used to be people called word processors, that just did nothing but the type documents, all gone. Even legal secretaries now are not courier services. Legal secretaries are pretty much gone out of the legal profession. So, and that's one of the areas where they say these artificial intelligence platforms can really be used. Like all these briefs that lawyers have to write can be written through artificial intelligence, short of showing up in court and making the argument. But, you are a hip hop artist. So that music piece, I'm sure, is something that you're concerned about, that Drake, video that went viral. What are you thinking about AI and how it's going to perhaps take over the music industry?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, and we go back with AI, just look at the grocery stores and the automated registers. It's like two people working at these stores now, right? And so there's going to be more jobless people, as we should have paid attention to it back then. Getting back to the music, I actually brought this up in my class because, I teach a class on Jay-Z at American University, and I came in and I was like, yo, check out this Jay-Z track. And I started playing it. They were like, yo, that's hot. And I was like, that's not Jay-Z, it's AI. And they could not believe it. And, one of his colleagues who came up with him, Guru, has been talking about this as it relates to intellectual property. But it's so you can have somebody create a Jay-Z song, you can have somebody create a song by Eminem and have it sing it to someone who loves Eminem for their birthday, right? Or I could create a flow like Jay-Z, and then I can rap it in my own voice and pretend like I'm skilled like that, right? And so But back in the day, that money would go towards somebody who's a ghostwriter or a co-writer. And so on the intellectual level, in terms of intellectual property, it is very, very dangerous. And not just in music. There are these platforms where you can create art, where I'm looking at people's art, these paintings, and all along, I thought these were things that were created, with paintings or graphic design. But again, it's type in a few words, and I think the website's called like Journey or something like that. And you get these amazing types of works that are actually pulling from other types of visual arts throughout the centuries. And so we are just in the beginning stages of this, Areva. And like Dr. Fauntroy said, we're often behind as it relates to this. in terms of regulation. But if we don't get on this now, it's just a matter of time before we're just going to have more people who are out of work. We're just going to be more people out in the streets, more people homeless, and more crime. And we're already in a country riddled by gun violence and other things. We have to look at that as a real connection. I'm not being too extreme when I bring that up, but people should have paid attention to it when it was coming for other careers before it started coming for them.
Well, see, nobody cares if it doesn't impact them directly in that moment. So when those parking attendants were being laid off and wiped out, travel agents, word processors, all those jobs are going away. As long as we weren't doing it, we didn't think a whole lot about it. But the point here is that we're all interconnected. And what happens to one industry eventually is going to have an impact on us all. Real briefly, both of you teach in universities, and you raised this issue, Dr. Fauntroy. How are you dealing with a student that has to turn in a 20-page paper that now goes to this, chatbot GPT and says, write me a paper on African Americans after the Civil War? And I mean, within minutes, seconds, it just spits out a whole term paper.
Yeah, so there are some software applications that can allow you to check for some of this, but the truth is it's not enough. And at some point it comes down to the sort of personal integrity of the individual. Now, we understand that the challenge is there. There's no question about it. In fact, I just caught 2 students last week cheating on an exam, all right? And I want to tell you their names, but I don't want to put them out in the street like that.
How did you catch them? With the software?
No. I was with my own eyes. I'm literally watching them look down at their phone as if I can't see what's going on, right? I mean, it's just insane. So this is a real issue, not just in academia, but for what these students do when they leave the academy.
That's right.
They may be leaving with degrees and maybe going into positions that will require them to actually write or require them to actually think or to actually do, and they won't be able to do it because they chat GPT their way through school.
Yeah, and let's go real big here, Dr. Dibinga. These robots, nuclear war, secrets that countries have, security issues. I mean, where does this end?
It doesn't end. I mean, quite honestly, every time I see these stories, I just keep thinking of the Terminator movies, right? I mean, that's really what it came down to. It started with this whole AI stuff, and then it made us. The robots started thinking that humans were the threat, and then they took over. And so nothing is safe in any way, shape, or form. And so I don't think that is too extreme to start thinking about military secrets. These chat bots there and GPTs, they're able to actually bypass passwords in various areas. It's getting smarter and smarter by the day. I mean, Siri on our phone, everything that we're doing, we make it easier for AI to grow and develop every single day. And so we have to understand that. When it comes to my students, I'm looking at different ways of giving assessments. I started introducing, more oral examinations in class so they can be there sitting with me, and, we're having conversations in addition to some of the written work. I got to get up more on the software that American University is using, because they are using it. But even, with that, I feel like AI is going to surpass that. And so we might always be like a year or 2 behind at these universities in terms of creating that type of stuff. And in a society that's becoming more dumbed down by the day, this is helping us become dumber faster. And as Dr. Fauntroy is saying, when people get out into the real world, they're going to have no skills. They already can't write checks, balance checkbooks, writing, like physical writing, like cursive, all of those things are gone. So this is just another thing that is going to reduce our intellectual capacity. And I'm very scared for the future as it relates to that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Somebody that works for me started sending me emails, and I noticed automatically, I'm like, okay, this person doesn't write like this. They've worked for me like almost 10 years. I know their English. I know their grammar. It's, slightly college level, but I started getting these really sophisticated, compound, complex sentences. And someone else that works for the company said, yeah, they're using this chat box. I'm like, I knew it automatically because I've been looking at the person's writing, and it's barely college passing, but it's really scary. We got to leave it here. Great conversation as usual. Thank you, Dr. Michael Fauntroy. Thank you, Professor Omekongo Dibinga. His new book, again, is Lies About Black People, How to Combat Racist Stereotypes and Why It Matters. Check it out. You can pre-order it today. It's on bookshelves everywhere books are found. In July, look forward to having you both back. Always good to see you, my friends. When we come forward, we're going to be talking about Black babies being ripped out of the arms of their parents and placed in foster care. What's happening to our Department of Children and Family Services, and how are these parents fighting back? Stay with us. KBLA Talk 1580.